Hello, and today let's talk about Bill Cosby. To start off, obviously in this day and age, this particular celebrity name is now infamous in that the once family friendly and wholesome image of this man has been damaged and destroyed by many historical accusations against him, coming out all the way back in around 2014 that he had apparently used his very powerful influence and fame within the Hollywood industry to grope women and used date grape drugs to essay them. I'm saying all this because YouTube is very strict on what words you can use within the first bits of your video because that's not appropriate, so of course you got to say grape and essay instead of the actual words. Plus, other examples of sexual battery involving young women and children who had appeared on his many shows, plus sexual harassment that had happened as far back as the mid 1960s. The accusations were a known secret in the industry, which if he had spoken out against them for many years before 2014, Cosby would use his fame and power as an entertainer to intimidate those from speaking out about these accusations. Since we've gotten all this dirty stuff out of the way, I wanted to talk about a particular album that Bill Cosby did, an album called Bill Cosby Sings Silver Throats, released in 1967 on the Warner Brothers Records label. This particular album was and is the only album where Bill ever tried his hand at singing. And what genre would he sing? The blues, which, honestly, I don't know why the fuck he did it, because this album is god-awful. Like, it's easy for me to just say it's awful because he's an essayer of women, which could end off the video very early, but I want to talk more about this album like I do with my other album reviews in this matter. Cosby was born on July 12, 1937. Growing up, Bill was described as a popular class clown who was also a class president and a high school athlete who was the captain of both his baseball and track and field teams. After high school, Cosby would enlist in the Navy and served as a hospital corpsman, and worked as a physical therapist for the Navy and Marine Corps personnel who were injured during the Korean War. After 1960, Cosby would then line up many stand-up jobs at clubs within Philadelphia and New York City, where he appeared at the Gaslight Cafe beginning in 1961. However, his break would come on July 28, 1964, when he received national exposure from his appearance on the NBC's Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. This would then lead to a recording contract with Warner Bros. Records, after which he'd then release his debut comedy album called Bill Cosby is a Very Funny Fellow, right? And the following year he would star in the buddy crime drama I Spy on NBC alongside, I'm not even going to pronounce the guy's last name, Robert Cup, whatever. Well, being a typical show of its time, minus the fact that this show was the first weekly dramatic TV show to feature an African-American lead in a starring role, being Bill Cosby himself. However, around this time, Cosby would then start to use his powers of fame to allegedly assault women and children. Plus, he started to grow an ego about himself and his own self-worth to a point where he thought he could do anything he wanted, including a whole album of just him singing blues standards and current AM radio soul hits, which we'll get to later in this video, because the American buying public back in 1967 totally wanted a stand-up TV comedian to release an album of just him singing many blues numbers from the likes of Jimmy Reed, Ray Charles, and Muddy Waters, to name a few. Apparently, this album was marketed by Warner as a musical comedy album. However, consisting of mostly many straightforward rhythm and blues performances, which I mean, okay, nice, but then again, not nice, as some of these performances sound as that Cosby is deadass being serious with his really piss poor vocal delivery or deliveries on these tracks. Like almost every track minus the last song on side 2 for some reason, he does this stupid fucking woo sound on almost every blues track. I guess this was Warner Brothers Records being like, Bill, you gotta do a comedy album. I guess this is what Warner Brothers Records meant by comedy album. But if this is a joke, then it's a fucking bad one at that. There has been many other comedians who have done the blues bit or parody of a blues musician really well and with much more effectiveness than whatever the hell Cosby is doing here. Might I add, this album came out nearly 15 to 20 years before other comedians would try their hands at seriously singing music, like Eddie Murphy with his many different albums of just serious non-comedy songs like Party All the Time. Anyways, let's review and look back at 1967's Bill Cosby Sings Silver Throats track listing by track listing to see as to what went wrong with this album and its release, while understanding as to why the music critics at the time disliked this album by the once respected comedy legend. This is Music Talk with Jarkova. The starting track and first of 6 Jimmy Reed covers in a row on this album is Bright Lights, Big City, originally recorded and released by Reed back in 1961 on the VJ Records label. Here this track sounds like whoever produced this album has put a badly done echo filter type effect over Cosby's poor singing to make it sound even more full, but like even with a female backup singer and a tight group of musicians backing this track, there's nothing that can save this track in that it's so lifeless and soulless, essentially a song on a never-ending loop, and not in a good earworm type of way, more like a ringworm is camping inside of you type of way. Another thing to point out is that for some reason there's also this weird mixing job by whoever worked on the album where the female backup singer's voice gets completely turned up loud in the mix during this part of the song.
Pretty baby, you're gonna need my help someday. Oh, it's alright. Pretty baby.
And then it's turned down again, like whose job was it to mix this track? Seriously. Another blues cliche is used on these songs for this album is the overly done harmonica, an instrument used by many from the likes of Bob Dylan and Stevie Wonder to name a few. While it's an instrument that can be used respectfully for its intended purposes, sometimes on certain songs it can become tired and loses its purpose that it could have had in the first place. Like, use a bit of piano or electric guitar, bitch, if you want a real bluesy sound to come out. Track 2, the second Jimmy Reed cover and my favorite blues song ever, being Big Boss Man, which is a blues standard that has been covered by the likes of Elvis Presley, The Grateful Dead, B.B. King, to name a few. Here, Cosby's version is semi-rocking, and here he sounds okay. No BS with this 50s Chess Records type sounding band, playing the song out like it's a formal jam session between Cosby and the other musicians backing him. But unfortunately, in this day and age, Bill's version takes on more of a sinister, creepy, pervy, drunk uncle type of vibe, which sucks as this song isn't an awful performance from the man compared to other songs on this album. What can I say about Hush Hush but like this awful 1960s cheesy go-go beat that Cosby and the band are trying to go for here just doesn't work. I get it, it was a popular sound at the time that this album was released, but it just murders the song and its bluesiness sound from the original and much better sounding Jimmy Reed version.
Hush, hush, baby, don't believe a word. Hush, hush, baby, don't believe a word.
The last of the Jimmy Reed covers, thank God, is Baby What Do You Want Me to Do? But oh my God, Cosby's version is so boring and lifeless. Like, man, this basically makes anything done by the likes of Charles Manson musically sound generally better than this. Actually, it turns out that most, if not all, of this first side of the record is actually Jimmy Reed covers. I mean, I get it. Jimmy Reed is one of those Chicago blues greats, but God, were these songwrites cheap to use at the time? Please help me out in the comments. I really appreciate it if you can help me out. But Tell Me You Love Me is this another attempt at this slow, getting down, dirty type of blues that again fucking sucks from Bill Cosby. The actual last of the Jimmy Reed covers, I know I've said that earlier, but upon further research, the whole of side 1 for this album is Jimmy Reed covers. Again, like Hush Hush, this version of the Reed classic Shucks Hush Your Mouth that Cosby is covering here tries to go for this go-go beat again, almost as like that the musicians playing with him did not know this song and hush hush. I don't know, maybe Bill Cosby was a fan of the go-go sound, get it, because go-go bars and date rape. I know, not a funny joke, but who cares? Again, with song titles like this, Big Boss Man and Hush Hush, Shucks Hush Your Mouth doesn't age well with Bill Cosby and should have never been said in the same sentence or sentences as the name of said man covering this song. Let's go to side 2. Track 7 is a badly done parody levels of rewriting for the classic Stevie Wonder tune of the same name. Little Old Man, or in parentheses, Uptight Everything Is Alright, is Bill's tribute to his grandfather, who was apparently always uptight around Bill during his younger days. In the song, Cosby narrates about a little old man with whom he discovers 3 times. First, when getting hit by a train, later on when the old man is being ran over by elephants, and lastly, the old man who no longer has recollection of the earlier incidents that have happened during the song's runtime. Even back in the 60s or nowadays, if there's fans out there, like, honestly, I don't get why people thought Bill Cosby was like this funny fucking genius. Like, while I respect him for speaking out against racism and inequality in 1960s America, for me, even before the grape accusations as a young boy, I never thought he was funny, minus the Fat Albert stuff. Like, even Cosby's show wasn't that funny to me as a kid. Track 8, Mojo Workout. This song actually has a nice bass line, which is, oh my god, so rare on this album. Like, this song could have had more kick on it if Bill's poor vocal delivery didn't kill the groove of what could have been an otherwise good to decent blues cover if done by an, I don't know, actual tight blues musician who actually had the better chops to pull in a great performance with this tight band of hard-working musicians backing them. Track 9, I Got a Woman. Bill's version of the Ray Charles classic I Got a Woman starts off with a horn section that would be typical in a song by the likes of guys, like James Brown, Wilson Pickett, and Otis Redding, but not goddamn Bill Cosby. This version is done in this shuffle R&B style, but it is one of the worst, if not the worst track on this album, because Bill tries his hand again at rewriting this Ray Charles classic and turning it into a bad comedy parody song, minus the parody part of said comedy song, and completely misses the point of what this is meant to be as a parody or a comedy rewriting of a classic R&B standard. Track 10, Don't You Know. The second to last track is called Don't You Know, which is a song that Cosby wrote himself and is this badly done attempt at an Otis Redding or Wilson Pickett style of song. And I mean, if it wasn't so badly written and performed, maybe if it was given to the right hands, this song could have had a better version by someone who actually could, I don't know, tackle this type of song perfectly, like I said about the blues part. Track 11, A Place in the Sun. The last song is an actual decent track called Place in the Sun, and Bill Cosby actually does a nice, smooth version of it, which, if he had done this album in an easy listening type of style of singing, maybe I would have somewhat appreciated this album more, because this song actually suits his very limited vocal range, if any range he had musically at all. Instead of doing these badly done blues and soul covers with the wrong range and style of singing to try and cover these types of songs that is needed to do these genres musically any justice at all. Overall, this album is truly awful, and I'm not saying this because he's this infamous figure, but more so because I actually mean what I'm saying, regardless if he had done these things he is said of doing or not. Pretty much these days, Bill Cosby is out of jail, being released in 2021 due to Cosby's due processing rights being violated like he did the women, and insignificant evidence rendering a conviction unattainable, plus many other things that would take me hours to explain. Other than that, Cosby has tried to restart his career back up in stand-up comedy again, but finally after reading The Fucking Room, he decided not to do so, and has remained pretty much retired, with no new projects coming out or anything in the works as of this video. Bill Cosby is now forever a destroyed faculty image of himself, whose once warm, wholesome family man image has been turned into an image of a rapey man who used and abused his powers of fame to essay women and tried to silence them from coming out to tell their stories, while we live in a day and age where stories of being essayed are now generally believed even without a cent of proof, which there are many cases of this within and out of the Hollywood industry. However, the many cases of celebrities within the industry who have used their powers of fame for very wrong and downright disgusting predatory acts, like P. Diddy, who trafficked women for very sexual needs and allegedly essayed both genders, or Ian Watkins, who used his fan base for awful acts with young boys and girls, some of which were as young as babies, which I can't say what the acts were on YouTube due to them being so strict with wording and inappropriate content. Anyways, I wanted to say thanks for watching this video. New content will be out as soon as I can make more. Goodbye. A shame, bros!